Hello, everybody, and welcome to another session of the Virtual Payara Conference, Day 1, Strategic Insights. I can see people are joining, so we'll give it another minute or two because we had a little bit of a break from the last session. So this session is all about customer stories. So as with previous sessions, if you do have any comments or any questions, do post them in the comment section. For this session, we may need to get back to you after the session. We may not have enough time to answer the questions live, but we'll see how we go. But please do carry on the conversation in the comments if you have anything to add, any of your own stories as well that resonate, depending on where the conversation goes. And please do share your insights if you can. It's always really helpful for the community, for the other users of Payara or of Java, Jakarta EE, to hear user stories, and some of them may resonate. Maybe we can find some common issues, common solutions to the common problems or challenges. So please do keep the conversation going, just like you did in the previous sessions. Okay, so today we've got Fabio Turizo from Payara Service Team, who will be running the show, who will be running the conversation with Will Kramer from SIFMA. And they will talk to you a little bit more about mastering Java performance, focusing on the customer story, in this case from SIFMA. So I will leave it for you, Fabio and Will, enjoy this conversation, and please do comment in the comment sections if you have anything to add. Thank you very much. Over to you, Fabio.
Thank you, Dominica. So, hello everyone. I am Fabio Turizo. You probably have seen me in past sessions and here and there on conference talk, specifically in virtual conferences or on live and some of the conferences that I run here and there. So, I am Payara Service Manager. I mainly work with our customers on a lot of technical issues, specifically related to Payara and Java ecosystem in general. So why don't you tell us about yourself, Will?
All right, thank you. I've been working for the SIFMA Foundation, which is a not-for-profit part of the SIFMA organization. SIFMA is an organization that does basically um, work with financial industry to settle regulations, to get into Washington and talk to talk to our politicians about policies and things like that. The SIFMA Foundation is an offshoot of SIFMA, and our goal is to educate users in financial literacy. Our
Mhm.
end users are actually students in 4 to 12 um, schools in grades 4 to 12, and we typically have during the peak of our sessions about 4,000 concurrent users on two separate machines, 8,000 users per uh, live and active during the day. The kids love the trade and they take a day on and off. So I've been working with SIFMA Foundation for about 20 years, and I've been with the project since it was the baby, and it was pure C and C++, and using a proprietary C written middleware. And so that's where we started before we started with Payaya.
That's an interesting situation to be in because most of our customers usually have been on some flavor of Java or Java adjacent technologies before they migrate to Payara or move away to Payara. So can you tell us a bit more about what brought that decision of jumping from a completely different technology platform to the Java ecosystem? Were you involved in those decisions, or do you think that, or what those decisions is influenced by you that a long time ago?
But the implementation was C++ with the middleware that was written, and it worked very very well. But we were reaching the point where it was using GNU C and using some things that our vendor was not comfortable with, and so we needed to move away from that kind of design and open up the product uh, for for expansion and open up the product for modernization, and for doing. So basically, we worked on moving from C++, and to a Java environment that was supported by Payara. We used IntelliJ as our front end um, to do the design
Oh,
work. Um, and so, what was the rest of the question? I apologize.
no, don't worry. Were you involved in the decision making, or are you aware of how specifically you decided to jump into Java itself? Because again, there is a lot of technology options nowadays. Or well, decades ago still, but it is
We
interesting
went with
because
Payara because we felt Payara would work out of the box. One of the things that's most
okay,
interesting about our system is that we're an AIX system. We we're AIX version, I think 7.2, but we started with a version 6, I believe, and we've been following AIX versions ever since. If anybody out there has ever worked with AIX, they'll understand that it's pretty difficult sometimes to get things working, especially in a from the Linux world. So we were very pleased to find that Payara worked out of the box on our AIX machines, and allowed us to just move from very old technology to something that was more modern. uh, and it was easy to do because, like I said, it just fit into the IX. The only issue we had was getting the appropriate version of Java installed on these boxes. Once installed, we were fine, very stable. Everything's been great.
did you encounter any specific performance issues after the move? Something that you noticed was not working as well on the old environment, or was as smooth as you make it sound?
I'm going to have to say that we didn't know our performance increased. So we went from a shop that could handle maybe 1,000, 2,000 users per machine to a shop now that can handle 4 to 5,000 users per machine. So we actually became more efficient naturally by just moving into this platform.
Oh, that's wonderful. Are there any lessons that you took to heart while doing this migration? Something that you would do differently, or something that you will not necessarily optimize because premature optimization is the root evil of all evil, as the saying goes. But is there
It's the
any
Java.
lesson that you can take from that experience?
The only lesson we learned is our version of Java needs to be on sync with Payara. So that's something that you need to check before you proceed with any of your Payara installs, especially if you all
Mhm.
have infrastructure and groups that you need permissions from and approvals from. Those kind of things can slow your project down. So I would make sure that you just have all your everything dotted and checked, and make sure you have all your required software on the box that you intend to run application. And once you do that, everything should be pretty straightforward. Um, we did have one issue where our AIX machines were upgraded without our knowledge, and it impacted the Java install. And we actually used Payara customer service, and they were superb. And they were able to take a look at our logs and immediately tell us that it was our Java that was causing a problem, and we had to have our Java patched. And so, in with regards to both customer service and everything, you're going to get good support from the Payaya team.
Thank you. Yes, and thank you for the impromptu congratulations. That's why we are here. Um, what advice would you give other organizations? Maybe not necessarily in your situation, because as I said, it's fairly odd to move across platforms, but maybe organizations that are using all the technology stacks, not necessarily in Java. Uh, would you recommend them something, or would you give them a specific advice if they are unsure whether to move to Payara or maybe to a Java ecosystem environment in general? Is there anything that you would say to them to convince them?
I would say that it's extra work sometimes to take your flat programs and change them into object orientated, beans and all that good stuff. But what you get out of doing all that is that you get a project that's easier to manage, We have trees for our beans. We have trees for, we have basically we run a standard Java install. And when you do that, it's going to be it's going to help your process as well. So you'll move away from working with old legacy software, and you'll move to something with IntelliJ, a combination of Payara, Git, and so you get all these things that come together and help you manage the project a hell of a lot better than you could have before. All right.
Okay.
So to me, it's work, and yes, you're going to spend a lot of time moving from your older environment, but it's going to be well worth it, because once you modularize and once you get everything into standard structures, changes, modifications, enhancements become so much easier. And so the goal is not necessarily to understand that there's going to be work involved moving from one platform to another, but the goal is to move to a platform that gives you good, robust ability to grow and work with it. And so that's what we got with Payara.
And interestingly, because you mentioned that structure is what helped you make that decision, uh, were there any specific issues that you had with that old environment? Did you think not uh, work well with it because of its legacy status, or because it was difficult for the team to hand, handle its maintenance regularly? And you
Well,
make this decision. Okay, we need something better. Yeah.
our original product used something called templates, which created dynamic HTML for us. So part of
Mm-hmm.
the transition was to write a compiler for those templates, and then have those compile out to Java and Java classes, and work from there. So the original product, the one thing that gave us a hard time was moving from the old to the new without replacing all of the old right away. And so we were able to take some of the old templates, compile them, and use them within the new project. So it was like a two-step process with that. We have another project, which is an administration site, and that was written 100% in Java. Okay,
Oh,
so we have
so it
two
was
types of projects, and both of them were successful and working well.
so there was some direct translation from the old to the new that you could reuse, not to do
Yeah,
everything from scratch.
yes, we ended up being able to design compilers for those templates, and those compilers are written, basically translated our templates into Java, and allowed us to integrate dynamic HTML the way we had done it before using these templates into the new project.
That's good to hear. Would Is there anything, again, you mentioned that the process of moving to Payara wasn't necessarily that troublesome, but are there any pitfalls or some obvious issues that you detected while doing this migration that you would share with other organizations in the same situation? With like, hey, you need to look out for this or your project will fail, or is there anything similar to that?
I've said it before. Just make sure you have, network support, administration, so that you can get the packages that you need installed on your machine before you work with Payara. And the most important one is the Java, right?
Okay.
So you need to work on that. If you don't have complete control or domain over your own machines, you need to have those things installed first. And of course, then you need to have your support team install the Java. I mean, install the Payara for you. If that's the case, that might be a pitfall, or might be a place where you need to work closely with those folks at that point.
Okay. So now that you are running things on Payara, how has it impacted your development and deployment process? Now that you have completely moved over, how better how not necessarily better or different is the overall development of new applications or changes or new modules to this environment in general?
Well, the application has not been static, that's for sure. We have to make modifications to it on a need basis. There are bugs that we need to fix. There are new enhancements that we've made in terms of functionality. But the projects are alive and well. We are doing active updates to both the game side which means logic changes in our templates. There are some behind-the-scene pieces of code that we're making modifications to. These are Java programs that talk and communicate with our back-end office to get data and prices and things like that. So for the most part, everything is proceeding as expected. Java Payara has not hindered us in any shape, form, or regard. And we just proceed with our development on a need basis. Everything is, and then everything so far has been clean, and we haven't run into any issues with any of the enhancements or any of the modifications that we've made in our code since the first install.
And how about deployment? Has it changed substantially now that you are deploying on a completely different platform? Do you have to schedule complex deployments where you stop everything or plan the deployment of these changes on your versions accordingly, or it has been a bit more organic in your organization?
Deployments are done late night when people aren't trading. They're done by our Ukrainian software team. They work different hours than we do here in the States. And so they have the luxury of being able to get on the systems pretty early in the morning. And usually that's when they do their updates in terms of getting new software on our production machines. In QA, I'm the one responsible for that for the most part. I keep track. I test new changes on our QA machine and make sure that they're copacetic and they're not going to hurt and when we move things to production. All right. So yes, yes, we're doing. I'm sorry, I lost track of my brain for a second.
No, that's okay. Yeah, you run out of things today when everything is okay. So the positive feeling is there. Moving on, how do you see Payara in the future? How do you see its usage on your organization as you move on? Do you see something radically different, or are you looking to do something different for the project, or anything in particular that you would like to talk about that you can share, of course?
I'm a firm believer of using things that you have that work. Okay, and not redesigning unless you absolutely have to, unless things have absolutely changed. So our use of Payara will continue to increase. The number of users that we've had has increased over the years from 4,000 altogether to 8,000. Our goal of our program is to continue to grow and service more students. So our intention is to keep using Payara. And right now we have two AIX machines that are round robin and handling load balance. We may go to a third, but Payara gives you that flexibility and that you can do that. Okay, so we do have intentions to improve or at least grow Payara in terms of its number of users that it can handle. But we're just getting started with that. But so yeah, it's not a dead project. It's live and well, and we are going to be growing with the platform.
Oh, that's wonderful. Any specific things that you would like to plan in preparation, or at the moment it is too early to say something that you may want to share? Not necessarily on the technical aspect, rather than most about the architecture or how your team is preparing for that and the big picture.
I think we use the product in a pretty vanilla way. So unfortunately, I don't think I can give you any information or details about anything custom we did with Payara to make it work. For us, it worked out of the box. It allowed us to transition from C into Java, and it continues to allow us to improve our product and go forward.
That's wonderful. And it's good to hear that it's working out of the box for you, because that's the overall premise that we tell our customers is that as long as you are familiar with the technology, you should be good to go from the start. And of course, some nuances when you're moving away or moving from Java itself and the ecosystem and its surrounding tools. But it's really good to hear that you are thriving by just simply following the default configurations and using most of the default settings and moving from there. I think that we are done with the questions at the moment, Dominica. I don't know if we have any additional questions the audience has asked about or they're interested.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's all the questions we've had. We haven't got any questions from the audience. So I think that will conclude this session with Will today. Thank you very much for showing your for sharing your experience and your so far your journey with Payara Platform. And it's really important. I wanted to highlight how important it is for the users, whether they are our customers or whether they are community users, to share their experience, to talk about any issues, any pitfalls, but also any success stories that that they've experienced. Because quite often we all do it in silos. We don't really talk about it that much, but actually sharing the experience is really helpful, and especially if there are any issues, so we can maybe solve them together, and that's really good. But in this case, it's definitely a success story. So really happy to have you on board with SIFMA. Really happy to be able to help, and very happy to have you here today, Will. So I think in the absence of questions, I think that would conclude the session for now. And our next session, we will have a little bit longer break. So the next session is at 1:30. So for the UK time, that would be 4:30. But 1:30, we'll meet again to watch Louise Castens talking about Payara roadmap. So Payara roadmap for 2025, and also a bit of a recap of 2024. So definitely something interesting for those who are currently using Payara Platform. So thank you again, Will, for sharing your experience with Payara. And thank you very much, Fabio. And I will see you at the session at 1:30.